The availability of clean drinking water is essential for life on Earth. Further, a ready supply of fresh water is critical in supporting agricultural production around the world. In this lesson, we'll focus on how water is distributed around the Earth system. As you probably already know, the bulk of the world's water is currently found in the form of salt water in the world's oceans. This accounts for 96.5% of all the world's water. The remaining 3.5% represents the fresh water that's available on our planet. When we look more closely at the distribution of this fresh water, we find that a small percentage is in surface waters in streams and lakes. The vast bulk of this is trapped as ice in glaciers and ice caps, and most of the rest is in groundwater, most of which is used for irrigation of crops. Most surface water is present in lakes, with most of the remainder in marshes and bogs and other forms of wetlands. Just 2% of surface water is present in rivers and streams, a tiny fraction of the world's total water budget.
This graphic illustrates what would happen if we gathered all the world's water together in one place. The giant bubble represents all of the world's water, most of it salty. In contrast, look at how much smaller the bubble for Earth's liquid freshwater is. This represents all the groundwater, wetlands, rivers, and lakes on the planet. Finally, the third, even smaller dot that's barely visible represents Earth's surface waters. In the US, 60% of all the fresh water we use every day comes from surface water. Now, let's take a look at how all that water moves around in the water cycle.
The water cycle is a dynamic system that allows water to move between these different locations on Earth. Water vapor evaporates from the oceans and rises through the atmosphere where it cools and eventually condenses to form clouds. Air currents carry these clouds over the land surface, and as they rise and cool, this will result in precipitation. This either returns moisture back to the oceans directly or deposits water on land. It may join surface waters in streams and lakes where it eventually flows back to the ocean, or it can infiltrate below the ground surface to form groundwater. But even this groundwater flows downslope to return to the ocean. Some water is absorbed by soils and may be taken up by plants and returned to the atmosphere by transpiration. Perturbations to this system result in floods and droughts and cause water levels in streams and groundwater systems and oceans to rise and fall. So we have learning objectives for today. How confident are you that you can respond to each of these learning objectives successfully?